Well, if you've seen my previous videos, you know that we're no longer doing the oil consumption tests. We essentially have been told that there's nothing they can do, and you kind of just have to be okay adding 1 quart of oil to your Palisade until you no longer own it. Now, if this doesn't sound like the most fun you could possibly have with a vehicle, I don't know what does. I mean, really, I'm not sure if it's a comedy routine with them at this point, but they're essentially just telling us that nothing can be done. And this is just how the Palisade is built. I should note that if you have I believe it's a 2021 Palisade and newer, then you most likely don't have this problem, or it just hasn't surfaced yet. But if you go back and look through my previous videos, I'll link them in some cards, and you can see all the comments of people all over the country having the same issue. But Hyundai still tells me that it is not an issue. I have reached out to the actual Hyundai corporate and have yet to hear anything back. I'll of course make a video on that if that happens. But in the meantime, the real question is this vehicle reliable enough for your family, or even if you own it on your own? And I think before someone like myself, or honestly anyone, can answer that question, you have to decide on a couple of things. One, are you mechanically inclined to add oil? Now, that may seem really basic, and I'm not trying to trivialize or say, working on cars is super complex. There's honestly just some owners that have never opened up their hood on their vehicle, and they don't want to deal with the process of, where does the oil go? Where do I buy it? Which weight do I buy? This is not meant to be like a tutorial on how to change the oil. In fact, I'm sure there's probably 1,000 videos on that, but more just a question of, is it worth having a vehicle? And this honestly is not limited to the Palisade. Newer vehicles are not built as well as they were. And I know by me saying that, I sound like an old person, and I guess to some of my younger viewers I am. But at the end of the day, it's supposed to be that you have a reliable vehicle that you can take your children to places, your spouse can drive to work, or you can go on a vacation. And at the moment, at least for us and a lot of others, the Hyundai Palisade is not hitting that mark. So of course, with interest rates the way that they are with auto loans, now may not be the best time to trade your vehicle in. You may not have a lot of extra cash to put as a down payment. Maybe you recently purchased your Palisade and you don't have enough equity in it in order to move to another vehicle. So honestly, this is going to be a per owner decision, right? You have to decide financially, is it the smart choice, or do you just learn how to put oil or continue to put oil in your vehicle? For us, we have done the research, and being that we're a family of 7, it's not super easy to buy a car because, well, actually, we don't fit in a car at all, but SUV, truck, van, whatever it happens to be. For me personally, minivans are out. I just don't enjoy them, and my wife's kind of the same, so that's right out of the equation. That kind of just leaves a newer Palisade, which honestly, I don't think that's going to be happening. We've looked at like Chevy Suburbans, the Cadillacs. Acura has, I think it's the MDX as a 7-seater. There's just not a lot of options. Like I said before, with interest rates the way that they are, even if you have stellar credit, you'd be looking at a 6 to 8% interest rate. The other factor is, if you get another vehicle, is that going to have problems? I'm not saying it's going to have the same problems. Cars really are not being built as well as they were. I'm sure part of it's the pandemic, part of it's chip shortages, them trying to get them out into the field as fast as possible. When I had my previous vehicle, there was issues with it. The Bronco had issues. The Lightning, I didn't have it long enough to actually have issues with it. The Porsche, both of them have been bulletproof. And honestly, the M3 really didn't have issues. It just had wear items because I drove that thing super hard. When we're talking about a consumer-based commuter car, it should be reliable, especially when it's under 60,000 miles. So I'm not going to go on a big rant on how much I dislike Palisade and Hyundai in general. I think I've done that pretty well with the last 4 or 5 videos. But really, it's just a question, and leaving this video with a question for you guys. Are you going to replace your Palisade with something else? Are you just going to stick it out and wait until it breaks and then have them fix it? Or are you just going to resolve to put a quart of oil in the engine every 1,000 miles. So as always, I appreciate you guys checking out these videos. If you're new to this, I've been kind of following the Hyundai Palisade oil consumption issue. I have some other videos which I've linked in cards. If you're new here, please subscribe, like this video if it was helpful, and I'll catch you in the next one.